Isaah in really quick. He's looking pretty sharp, and then we'll start calling this game as we see it. We're going to call it just like we see it on TV, and we like your input. So, what's going on, Isaah? How are you, and
Oh,
what
it's
is
beautiful.
really happening?
It's beautiful, man, to be able to cover this Michigan and Oklahoma game. It's like nothing like it. You know, it's a rival. The coach used to be over there. He coached over there. I mean, he
Oklahoma
played for
just scored, by the
Oklahoma.
way. They just
Oh,
scored.
man. It was a pretty drive. Nice drive. So, yeah, we covering the game, and we'll be here for the duration, and we'll break at the half. Yeah.
Yeah, we will break at the half, by the way, and we'll be back when the game resumes in the third quarter. It looks like Michigan's defense is off balance right now. Oklahoma has kind of a fast pace, no huddle offense kind of set up, and they are taking it to the Michigan defense right now because that Michigan defense is aggressive, and they have to basically no huddle and keep them off balance so they can't get their subs in and things like that. I'm doing well. It's a good day. We're watching this game. You'll see me looking up because I'm looking at my monitor right now. 7-0 currently, Michigan and Oklahoma. These are two legacy programs. These programs, they have a lot of history involved in them. If you look back at some of the history and some of the coaches that's coached at both schools, I mean, I'll start with Michigan. You look at the Bo Schembechlers of the world, the Lloyd Carr of the world, and then I have to bring in the most recent coaches, which is Jim Harbaugh, and now we have Sherrone Moore, and Sherrone Moore is a formidable coach. Now you go over to the flip side of that, you go over to the Oklahoma side, legacy program, full of history, dominant force for decades. I mean, in the Big 12, and now they're in the SEC. So this right now is the SEC versus technically the Big Ten. And usually these two conferences, they clash and they butt heads, and they got a lot going on between the two conferences. You talk to one person, they'll tell you one conference is better than the other one. I believe both conferences are equally as strong with the schools that they have in those conferences. You look at Oklahoma's history, Bud Wilkinson. You look at Barry Switzer. Barry Switzer spent a ton of time at Oklahoma. He's won national championships. I can name some of the players from Oklahoma: Thomas Lott, J.C. Watts, Billy Sims, Jamal Holloway, Charles Thompson. These were all
Yeah.
super dynamic quarterbacks, and they were dynamic quarterbacks because they were a wishbone style offense. But these quarterbacks, they were option quarterbacks, and they were super good at what they did. I mean, they could literally put a dive in to a fullback, pull it back out, take it, run with it. We've seen them play Florida State in the Orange Bowl. Those used to be some really big battles back in the
Yeah.
80s. You had Bobby
Yeah.
Bowden versus Barry Switzer, and Isaah, you're very familiar with these two teams. I mean, Michigan, you look at, if you look at Jim Harbaugh played quarterback at Michigan. You got Demetrius Brown. That's a name that you don't hear about because Demetrius Brown played quarterback for Michigan, but he didn't get a lot of press. And he didn't get a lot of press. He played in Miami. He played for Miami Beach Optimists. I played against him, and he ended up getting a scholarship to the University of Michigan. And D. Brown, he was a lefty, but he was a super good lefty, and he knew how to run that offense. And then came along Tom Brady. Tom Brady took that team to another level and to another dynamic, and you see what he's done in the NFL as a GOAT. And these two programs, like I said, it's an offensive-minded coach versus a defensive-minded coach. The more you look at this game, you'll see how they're going to be playing chess. So, Isaah, give us a brief breakdown of what you think is going to happen with this game since Oklahoma has scored so quick.
Well, it's going to be a stalemate. I think that Michigan came out there without any sense of urgency, and they just drove the ball down their throat. Oklahoma just drove the ball down their throat, so they're going to have to make some adjustments quick. Otherwise, this game will get out of hand. I know Michigan usually come out, and they'll have that hard press type of defense. They will have a defense that attack. But for now, the game is lopsided. They just came down the field with no problem. They just drove it and call a timeout. They just continue to let these Oklahoma drive down the field and score a touchdown. So now they're getting ready to kick it off to Michigan to see what Michigan offense entails because they hadn't hit the field yet.
And Michigan's offense is actually getting ready to take the field right now. It looks like Sherrone Moore is talking to them. They just fielded the kickoff, and it looks like they are getting on to offense. And they have a super dynamic quarterback, Bryce Underwood. I mean, Bryce Underwood, he is spectacular. And you will see that, and he's a freshman. So he was playing high school football last year, and he's in one of the biggest games on one of the largest stages in the country right now, because this is the biggest game of the day, if you ask me, because I've watched some games earlier, and right now Michigan is going to establish a running game like they always do. They have somewhat of a dynamic spread offense, and they spread teams out, especially teams that run 4-3s and teams that are aggressive up on the line of scrimmage. Michigan has a spread offense where they have a run pass option right now with an RPO with Underwood, because he's just as scary and dangerous running the ball as he is throwing the ball. So it looks like Michigan right now 2nd and 6. Right now Underwood passes, and the pass is complete. And Michigan just made a big gain, obviously. That was a good play. He rolled out a little bit, dropped back in the pocket, dumped the ball off, and it's really a big play for Michigan right now. So, Isaah, this is what it's going to take for Michigan to be able to beat Oklahoma today, I think, because if you look at Oklahoma's defensive schemes and alignments with Brent Venables, who's the head coach, he's calling the defense today. So if you look at it, it's like two minds of Sherrone Moore, which Sherrone Moore has an offensive coordinator. However, it's chess, and we always say it's a chess match, and they have to feel each other out first. Michigan is looking to try to go ahead and even the score up, just like Oklahoma marched down the field and did as well. This game is just a game in the making. I think it's going to be big for both programs. The winner is going to take it and run with it, I think, this year. What do you think about that?
Well, we're going to see it. Well, Chip Lancey, he's the defensive coordinator there. And listen, man, I just love, well, actually the offensive coordinator, but he's putting together a scheme where they're mixing it up. I'm loving what they're doing. They ran the ball a couple of times, they throw a couple of hitch passes, and then they run the ball, and then they go for a long pass. And that's how you're going to have to play Oklahoma, because Oklahoma are playing aggressive. They rushing guys, they stacking the box, and so they cut the lanes off so far. So they're going to have to open it up by throwing little hitch passes here, throw a long pass on the end. So with that in mind, it's going to open that offense up where they can get the running game started, because if they get the running game started, it open up everything else for the offense to pursue the length of the field, because they're in midfield right now.
Exactly. Oklahoma's defense is playing very aggressive right now. They're gaining penetration on the line. The last play, it looks like it was stuffed. I mean, Michigan's going to have to get that offensive line cranked up, and they're going to have to start pushing these guys backwards, right?
Yeah. Well, Oklahoma is just like seizing the moment right now. I looked at how number 22, their dynamic running back, he's went out for a hitch pass, and they was all over him before the back pass can get to him. They was all on him already. So that defense is just swarming like.
Oh, for sure. It looks like Michigan just punt the ball back to Oklahoma. So Oklahoma has possession of the ball again, which, their quarterback, John Mateer, I mean, he's dynamic in his own way. He's a transfer into Oklahoma, and he's done a fantastic job. His first game was just off the charts. I mean, with the first game of the year. And if you look at some of his numbers very impressive, I would say, for Oklahoma. And
John Mateer has
Oklahoma
a
is
really
always
pretty pass.
right.
I love his pass. It's really pretty. It's a
He's
hard
got a really
spiral.
good throw.
Yeah.
He's his IQ is very high. I mean, if you think about it, he's got a very high IQ, because he's getting the ball to the right receivers, and if he needs to throw it to the back, he's throwing it to the back. So that's really the biggest thing right now is everything that's happening right now. You're seeing the momentum in Oklahoma's favor. And
Yeah.
that's what it's going to be. It's either going to be a seesaw game. Sherrone Moore has to make these adjustments pretty much on the fly, because if you think about it, I mean, this chess match is like your move, my move, your move, my move, and it's right. You got to call the right plays. I mean, because if you don't, the other team, which is Oklahoma, is going to be right there waiting to try to seize the moment on these plays and stop them for losses or turnovers and the whole thing. Like I've said before in my past, talking and dealings about how football is won, in my opinion, football is won in the trenches. There is no other. If you want to try to shape it another way, you can shape it another way. But everything starts and finishes at the line of scrimmage. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Of course it does. You've got to be able to protect the quarterback. And then, of course, on the defensive side of the ball, you have to be able to rush that quarterback and stop the betrayal of them driving down the field. So if you don't have that interior line on both sides of the ball, you're really going to get beat, man, because that's where your strength lies on a team. You can have all the beautiful running backs and flashy receivers and a quarterback and throw off 100 yards, but if those trenches not being met, you're going to get beat, man, because you got to protect the quarterback. And, of course, on the defensive side of the ball, you got to be able to run in there and sack the quarterback. So it's going to be a
Exactly.
stalemate, I think.
I think it is too, and it's too. It's going to boil down to penalties. Who makes the less mistakes in this game? And if you look at some of these throws from Mateer, he's a drop back pocket style quarterback where he's getting the ball right to his receivers at the right moment. And
Right.
this
And he has
speaks
the time to do it.
volumes. Yeah,
He
it
has the
speaks.
time to do it.
And they're giving him time because his offensive line is giving him all in the time in the world. And Michigan is known for their defensive line play. They're known to be able to be aggressive on that defensive line. If you look at Michigan the past 6 years at least a few years even before Harbaugh left, they were getting the defensive linemen, and that's where they were winning games. They were winning games from their defensive line in the trenches, stuffing holes. Running back or any back had nowhere to run between the tackle or between the guards, and there was no holes there. So Michigan's defense is really going to have to step up today and not fall behind. Michigan can't afford to fall too far behind in this game. I mean, they have to stay kind of neck and neck with Oklahoma in this game. I would say this is one of the biggest games for Brent Venables because he's been at Oklahoma and he left Clemson and he won a national championship. He's defensive minded, skilled. He was part of that architect that stopped saving Alabama when Tua and all those guys was there in the national championship, and Clemson was just all over them at that time. So it looks like another bomb, and he caught it. Looks like Mateer just threw a bomb, and Oklahoma just threw a bomb on Michigan right now.
After having a penalty.
Right. Well, it's going to boil down to whether he got 1 foot in, too. I'm looking at, but it looks like he did because they're lining up right now. Right?
Yeah, that is a catch. Is a catch.
Right. So it looks like Oklahoma is running and they've been stopped.
It's close, but it's a catch.
Yeah.
He drugged that last feet.
So we'll see it. The slow motion right now. He got it in. He got the ball in. He got that foot in and he had control of that ball. That's the key. You know, when they say things like that, they have to go back and they have to look at how well he controlled the ball. Ball wasn't bobbling or moving, and he was able to haul it in, basically.
Showing on the replay,
So it's
that
second and
last
6. It
footage.
looks like Oklahoma gained 4 yards. And right now, 7-0. 5:29 to go in the first quarter. Incomplete pass. Looks like Michigan's defender stepped in and he was able to break up a pass from one of the Oklahoma receivers. I'm excited about this game, Isaiah, because these are two blue blood programs. These are two Goliath programs when it comes to college football. And to see a game on a Saturday, and we've been talking about this since football season
Yeah.
was out, we were waiting for moments like this to come back, right?
Yeah. We start evaluating the schedules and start seeing all of these guys who are going to have a great season. You know, when we were looking at the schedules for each pro college team, and all of a sudden we matched this Oklahoma Michigan game, and we said, "Wow, we need to cover that one because it should be a beautiful primetime game." And so here it is.
Absolutely. And it's right in front of us. Looks like an incomplete pass. I guess the receiver, he decided to, I think he just didn't haul it in. I mean, he had the right form to bring in the ball, but he just didn't haul that ball in like it should have been hauled in, I think. So right now it's 4th and 6. Oklahoma's punting the ball back to Michigan. Michigan just called for a fair catch. It looks like Michigan is going to start, and Bryce Underwood is coming back in. He's that dynamic quarterback, that 5-star dynamic quarterback for Michigan. True freshman, because that's what we call them back when they were coming along. If you can make a squad in a traveling squad, you were considered like a real true freshman. You could step up and you were ready to play. I mean, and how many true freshmen or how many freshmen do you know that come in that prepared to play? Would you know of any? We've seen them in the past, right?
Yeah, you know, once you see a quarterback like that young, and then can take on that type of responsibility to run an offense like that with a Division One school, you really start trying to evaluate how good he was in high school as well. Because you know, a big program like Michigan, and he's starting already. You think of 9, 10 months ago, he was at high school and he was playing high school ball, and then all of a sudden here he is playing Division One and starting. And what I'm loving about him, he's got command of his offense. So it's a beautiful game tonight.
Yes, yes. It looks like, to give everybody an update, it looks like South Florida came back and they beat the University of Florida, which to me is kind of mind-boggling to me, that how did Florida let them come up into the swamp and win that game? That to me should not have happened. You know, and Billy Napier is, I'm pretty sure that he's thinking about, how did we lose this game? What type of things happened? The mistakes that were made? Because if you look at South Florida's program, they have a pretty good program. I mean, they're a good program, but they shouldn't be able to stay and play against Florida and win that game, in my opinion. I mean, any given day you can lose in sports and in football and in basketball or any sport. But when you're supposed to win, you're supposed to win. When you're supposed to lose, you lose, right? And this is just not acceptable to the Florida faithful, that they let South Florida come up in there. And South Florida is a school that's based in Tampa, and they've had some really good players come out of that program. The most notable one I know is Jason Pierre-Paul. He played for the New York Giants for a long time. They've had multiple other players come out of there as well. So it's a formidable program, but for them to be able to go and win that game at Florida, to me, it's a little bit, I'm scratching my head. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, but you know, that coach, he's going to be on the bubble. If you letting teams like that come inside the swamp and handle you and come back from, you know, a deficit and win the game, well, you got these coaches out there like John Gruden and the rest who looking for another opportunity. And
True.
with a team like Florida, he will be throwing his name in the hat because he clearly want to coach again. and he want to coach on this form of level of being at the University of Florida, a prestigious college that had all of these championships in the past, and they got a huge following of folks, and to see this team like lose for a team like South Florida, it should be a bloodbath when they come in the swamp for a team like South Florida come in there, but they pulled that game off today.
Absolutely. I'm going down some of the scores right now, and ooh, it looks ugly for Oklahoma State as well. They got a drubbing from University of Oregon earlier. It looks like Michigan is lining up. Bryce Underwood, he's in the shotgun. He's throwing a deep ball, and he overthrew it, and it almost was picked off by Oklahoma's defensive back. Like I said before with this game, he just needs to settle down, and they need to get into the rhythm of their offense. That's the way that they're going to have to do it, because they're playing in a very hostile environment in Norman, and Norman is not an easy place to play. I'll be the first to tell you that. Oklahoma has always defended their home turf very well, even to this point now. There was a time you couldn't go up in there and beat them in Norman, period. That's a face mask right there. That should be a face mask. Yeah, they threw the flag. Looks like the Oklahoma defender grabbed the face mask of the Michigan running back. He didn't hold on to the face mask. He just basically
he just gave it a tug. That's
he
it.
tugged it. Yeah, he grabbed a little bit and he let go, which he knew that he had to let go because you could see him extend his arms out like he didn't do it. Right?
And that you can see the jerk of the
and you can see the jerk of the running back's head. Right. So this penalty, it's a first and 10. And did they tack on 15 yards? Was it considered a flagrant? I don't believe it was.
15 yards.
Right.
It'll be 15 yards.
So it's first and 10.
Almost any time you grab a face mask, it's going to be 15 yards. Right. Underwood is in the shotgun. The running back has the ball again. He broke away. This running back is dynamic. He looks very dynamic. Michigan has had a whole stable of running backs, especially over the last few years. And Sherrone Moore has done nothing but add additional players to that team, because, I mean, and these are top flight running backs coming out of a program like Michigan. Moore right now, as you can see, he's a good coach. I mean, we've talked about him on our show last year. We've had conversations about him, and there was kind of, questions about whether he should have went with Harbaugh. It looks like a double reverse. It got stuffed. Oklahoma sniffed it out and ran it. Yeah. He's doing a great job. And now, at first I thought he should have went with Harbaugh, but now looking at the hindsight, I think he made the right choice. He was looking for his own opportunity. He took him to, the promised land, so to speak, when Harbaugh was on sanctions where he couldn't play, and he didn't let off the pedal. He kept the team going smooth. So that's why they gave him the head coaching job after Harbaugh left.
Absolutely. Haynes is carrying that ball pretty good, man. Number 22. He has an elusiveness about him that's very impressive. Looks like Underwood's running with the ball right now, and he just released. He threw it. Michigan receiver has the ball, and a huge gain. That was a huge gain. McCulley just made the reception, and it looks like Michigan is beginning to move the ball a little bit. Because what I want to see today, I'm not really for either team, to be honest with you. I just want to see these teams play really competitive against one another, and it goes down to the wire, because I've seen some games this morning where it went all the way down to the wire, and that's what we want to see. That's the entertainment part about football. Looks like Michigan is lining up, and the thing that I like about Sherrone Moore's offense too, it's very similar to Harbaugh's offense, because that's where he learned a lot of what he picked up, is they give you a bunch of different looks. The scheme of it is to create space. And when you create space and you got players moving like in motion and things of that sort, defensive players have to be on their A game to be able to know how that play is going to unfold, as opposed to an offense that just gets into a set and they go. So it looks like Underwood is in the shotgun again. They're down on the 40-yard line. Ooh, that was a hell of a hit. That was a massive hit right there. He took a shot. I mean, and he didn't see that ball. He didn't see that defender coming. Let's just say that. It was like a screen, and it seemed like the other receivers didn't even block him because he read it.
You know, those type of hits like that, man, when you clock a running back like that, I almost fault the quarterback for even throwing him the ball.
Even
when you see a
that ball to him and setting him up.
A play like that, and you throw it to him anyway, I don't care how elusive that running back is, but if he never got an opportunity to see the defender coming and that quarterback throw him the ball anyway, it's just a setup for his running back to get hammered.
It really is.
That's exactly what happened.
And they do it at every level. They do it in high school. I've seen it done in high school. I've seen it done at the pro level, a lot at the pro level, where they lead these receivers on into a blow like that. And it just, to me, the quarterback needs to make a better decision. If you need to stuff it and run with it, run with it. I mean, when you see a play, true.
He had a clear shot at running, but he got rid of the ball because it was designed to throw it to the running back. But if the running back getting ready to get hammered because the defender has already read the play, you don't throw it. You check off and you take off running with the ball.
Exactly.
I mean, that's the good way to get your running back hurt, man, because he threw the ball right in there where the defender had already read the play.
So it looks like Oklahoma's offensive coordinator, Ben Arbuckle, he's a young talent. You see how Oklahoma's offense is playing tonight. That, you know, he is definitely an effective offensive coordinator, and he's got the right quarterback this running the offense for him. You know, we talked about Shannon Dawson last week, man. It is a lot of talented offensive coordinators in college football right now. These guys are really super talented. And you remember when we were coming up, they only had one or two offensive coordinators, and these guys stayed in the position forever. Looks like there was a good completion here on kind of a slant in post, quick post.
Yeah.
They were running a no-huddle offense.
How many teams he played it? How many teams he coached? And he's been around all over the place.
Correct. So it looks, he overthrew him and it's picked. Michigan just picked off the ball. Mateer overthrew one of his receivers, and it looks like Michigan have the ball back right now. This is a good turnover for Michigan, but they have to capitalize off this turnover. They have to flip this turnover into some points, whether it's 3 points or whether it's 7 points. They have to flip this particular turnover into points. Whenever you have a turnover and you flip that into points, that's just like allowing that team an opportunity to score points. Yeah, exactly. You're giving them an extra opportunity. Right.
Yeah, especially when you get great field positions, such as where they are right now. They almost midfield.
Exactly. And I'm a firm believer that I believe that Sherrone Moore is still going to conduct this offense the same because his offensive coordinator is just equally as dynamic. They're running the ball right now as we speak. So it's just, it's a matter of chess back and forth, who's going to be outthinking the other each play. And that's what I love about football. Do you?
Yeah. Well, I tell you one thing, Oklahoma defense is playing smash mouth right now.
Playing smash mouth, man. They're aggressive. They kind of remind me of those Oklahoma defenses back, you know, even far back as the Boz. And then, you know, you had those defenses under Bob Stoops when Bob Stoops was at Oklahoma. And Bob Stoops spent a long time at Oklahoma before he decided to give it up. But it's really nice to see that they have the type of defense now that a defense can keep you in a game, and a defense can actually help you win a game, even though it's a low-scoring game. I mean, you look at teams I'll mention the Baltimore Ravens of 2000, 2001. They weren't allowing other
Yep.
teams to score, right?
No, no, they weren't. I mean, they would give that offense so many more opportunities to go up and down the field and score because they were so good with Ed
Exactly.
Reed and Ray Lewis and all those guys like that. And, they gave that opportunities like 2 or 3 times more than they would regularly have the ball.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, because with a defense like, and this is all Brent Venables. I mean, this is his defense. This is his, and he's a great recruiter, by the way, because he used to recruit quite often down in Miami. I've seen, when Benedict Hippolyte was the coach at Carroll City, Brent Venables came to Carroll City recruiting some of his players, at least looking at some of his players when he was with Clemson. So if you think about it, Brent Venables knows how to put a defense together. Now, with any football team in college, even high school now, but high school, college, and pro, you got to be able to be the main person that can organize everything. And that goes for offense as well, because we both know that defensive coaches don't seem to fare well when they become head coaches as opposed to offensive coaches. And it's something behind that. What would you think would be behind that?
Well, once they get that leading jobs, most of them fail because they don't get the right type of offensive coordinator. They have a defensive mind themselves, but if you don't get the right offensive coordinator to be able to lead your offense, and then you fail. So that's the only thing that I see that a defensive-minded head coach fail because they just don't get the right person on offense. Otherwise, I see them stack their defense all the time. If you got a head coach mind of a defensive coordinator, but then his team don't do well if he just don't hire the right offensive coordinator.
Yeah. And coaches like Kevin Sumlin, coaches like that who coached, he was an offensive minded coach. I mean, he was one of the few coaches that was offensive minded coaches. I can name a few more coaches that was very successful when they got to the college level when they were coaching. And if you put that offense together and you have an explosive offense and you can just put together a defense that's strong enough to be able to hold another team, I think you have a good opportunity to be able to win a lot of football games. I really do.
Yeah, but that's on the flip side of what you're saying, DC, because since he was an offensive guru, but he never had a defense, his teams was getting slaughtered because they couldn't stop anybody. When he was at Arizona State, his teams couldn't stop anybody. They would score points, but then again, their defense let them come right back and score on them. So
Correct.
it was that lopsided type of play that he had on that team.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned Chip Lindsey earlier, who's the Michigan offensive coordinator, and it looks as though he coached at North Carolina, and he was under Mac Brown because this is Bill Belichick's first year. So Chip Lindsey brings a wealth of experience to that Michigan offense that was already pretty much stabilized and on point even since Harbaugh left. Now, they lost 5 games last year. I believe it was 5 games. And that was kind of an off year for Michigan. And there was some questions whether Sherrone Moore was going to be on the bubble. I don't think he's on the bubble. I think he's fine. I think he's going to be fine at Michigan as long as he can keep this team very competitive and keep them winning. He's not going to have very many problems other than the fact
he can't lose to Michigan State.
Mm-hmm.
I said he can't lose to Michigan State if he wants to stay around.
He can't lose to Michigan State. Well, all of these rivalries we talk about rivalries all the time. It's like the Alabama-Auburns. I told you last week, Kalen DeBoer might have a bad season, but he needs to win that Auburn game. Because if he doesn't win that Auburn game, there's going to be kind of people talking under their breath, as the old people used to say.
They won't be talking under their breath. They'll be cutting him a relief. They'll give him a paycheck to walk out of there because they're already talking about that now. They don't care about how much money they owe him. It's like $63 million, and they prepared to put a package together and get rid of him, especially if he can't beat Auburn.
Yes. So that's like one of the many rivalries. It's like Florida State,
Yep.
even the Florida Miami. I mean, but Florida and Miami, they didn't play each other for like maybe a decade, maybe if I'm
Yeah,
not
it was
mistaken.
somewhere like that.
Yeah, it was
That
similar.
rivalry kind of cooled off a little bit. It's more of the Miami Florida State now,
Right.
and
So
Florida State has two rivalries, even with Florida.
so give me a most memorable rivalry, Isaiah, that you can remember back in the time, and that could be at any conference. Even if you wanted to bring back up Alabama Auburn, what's your most favorite rivalry for
Well,
college
I used to
football?
love Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. It's a bunch of them there, man. It's a bunch of them because I think the most memorable one is the Florida State and the University of Miami because it was
Yes,
always
yes.
predicated on a kickoff. I mean, or either a wide right, wide left, or 3 points or something like that. The game was always close. And the fact that so many of these kids knew each other, either you go to Florida, Florida State, or Miami. And most of the ones in South Florida, they would either go to Miami if they couldn't get into Florida State, or go to Florida if they couldn't get into Miami. It was always that collective, and they knew each other personally. And those games, man, went down to the wire, and you could see the coaches just doing like this,
Oh, for
hoping that
sure.
ball would
You
turn
know, when
in. Because
that
I
kick
remember
went up, you would
Bobby
see
Bowden.
sometimes you see
Yes,
Bobby Bowden leaning,
yeah,
hoping that
yep,
ball, the trajectory of that ball
yeah,
ended up
man.
going through the goalpost, which majority of the time it did not. And that
Hmm.
reminded me today when Baylor was playing SMU in Dallas, because Southern Methodist University SMU,
Yeah,
it's a very notable school for football. We know Eric Dickerson and Craig Little Train James ended up going there back in the 80s, and they were a 1-2 punch. But today, it was a back and forth struggle. You had Baylor, which is an okay team. They're a pretty decent team, but Baylor lost their first game to Auburn, and SMU was 1-0. So I watched a majority of that game, and it looks like their game came down to a kick. I mean, even for example, when the first overtime went into effect, both teams scored 7 points, and then they went into the second overtime. Well, SMU's possession in the second overtime, the kicker ended up missing a wide right kick. And that was pretty much, I knew that was going to be the end of it. And I said to myself with this kicker, I said, he's not going to make that kick. He's not going to make that kick. And sure enough, he did not make that kick. So all Baylor had to do was just position the ball because
God,
they started at the
yeah.
25, right? In overtime for college.
Hmm.
So Baylor continued a winning streak against SMU, which Rhett Lashley, who used to be the offensive coordinator for Miami, he was pretty disappointed because his team, he has a good team, and I'm pretty sure he thought they should have won that game today. I don't think it was all the kicker's fault. There was some mistakes here and there were some plays in the game that could have been, looked at carefully. But if you look at the bigger picture, that rivalry from Miami and Florida State was a super good rivalry. I used to love to watch that rivalry, and it looks like it's
Yeah,
being rekindled a little bit.
it is. It is. We'll see, in the progression of the season because now both of them starting out great.
Right.
Last year Florida State went through their obstacles, but now it seems like they're gonna get back on track. For them to beat Alabama the way they did, and now everybody's so enthused about how good they played. It's gonna be something else, and they're ranked again. They wasn't even ranked for a while.
Right.
And but right now they're running high.
That's so true. And how did Colorado do today? I haven't seen their final score. Did they ended up with Delaware, of course, because we predicted that they were going to handle Delaware.
Yeah, it was a mixed match bag, man, because Delaware played pretty good in the first half, and then all of a sudden the game got out of hand. I didn't watch the end of it, but they played pretty aggressive at the end and pulled it off and opened up a couple scores. But
Absolutely.
at first they had their hands full.
Mm-hmm. 3rd and 3 right now. It looks like both teams have 17 yards rushing. Oklahoma's running back, he ended up just getting a first down. Oklahoma is moving the ball on the ground, and looks like Blaylock, according to number 6, Blaylock, running back for Oklahoma. Michigan still has a stout defense. I mean, they come up and they lay the wood on you like that defensive back just did. They're blitzing a lot now. So if you look at how they align their defense as well, Harbaugh had a pretty damn good defense when he was there too, because they beat Ohio State 2 years in a row. Remember?
Yeah, and he was being plagued for not beating Ohio State, and then when he started beating Ohio State, it appeared that he really had their number because Ohio State was stopping him from winning championships. You know, that
Oh,
would
for
be
sure.
always standing in his way every year.
Absolutely. That's Ohio State and Michigan. It's a long running history. You're talking about rivalry, so it looks like an option pitch. Oh, he was able to split both defenders and get a first down. Yeah, that rivalry is just historic. I mean, you look at the Bo Schembechlers versus the Woody Hayes. You know, when that time was happening back in that time, it's just amazing how both teams were able to just battle it out. And usually they would split a season, they split a year, or maybe one team may have won 2 years in a row, and then the other team come along and
That was
win 1
almost
or
like
2 years in a
Alabama and
row.
Clemson.
Yeah, it's one every
Alabama
other
and
one,
Clemson traded
right?
that off. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's right. It
And
looks
then
like
Georgia came in
Clemson.
there and broke all of that up.
They did. It looks like Clemson struggled today a little bit too. I mean, they ended up winning the game, but that wasn't an easy football game for Clemson to win today. And we'll see. I'm going to be keeping a close eye on Clemson because Clemson, and that's Troy. They ended up beating Troy 27-16, but Troy was in front of them for a little bit of time. And to me, to be able to come up into Death Valley and Troy, you know, that's a team out of Alabama. And for them to be able to come in there and play Clemson that tough, to me, is impressive, I would say. It looks like Ohio State blew out Grambling University 70-0.
Yeah, this was the week of the softball games,
Yes.
man. Every major team had a softball team to play. That's why I can't understand how Florida let that game get away with from them. Every
Right.
other major team had like a soft team to play.
So my question is this, and I'm going to revert over to Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State's program has been pretty much stabilized since Mike Gundy has been there. Mike Gundy is the head coach of Oklahoma State University football. He played quarterback at Oklahoma State, and he became the head coach. It's always been successful. He's very, his winning record is still successful. But of late, especially the past 2 or 3 years, he has been dropping a lot of games, and he ended up taking, I mean, his contract. They reworked his contract, and it looks like here for Oregon to blow out Oklahoma State 69-3. Let me repeat this score: 69-3. Do you understand how much offense that takes to put 69 points on the board against a
You
team
scored every
like
time you had the
Oklahoma State?
possession.
You
It
know,
almost seemed like you scored in every possession for you to get that amount of points.
absolutely. And I'm looking at some of the stats and the highlights right here. It looks like Oregon's running back 4 carries, 91 yards, 1 TD. Dante Moore, who he was playing at UCLA, and he ended up going up to Oregon. He transferred in the portal. He was 16-21, 266 yards, 3 TDs. That doesn't look good for Mike Gundy, man. What would you think about that? I mean, Oklahoma State is a very good program, and they have a lot of boosters that really care about that program. I don't know if they're going to continue to down the same road with them losing. They don't even have to lose 69 points, but it looks like right now they're 1-1, 0-1 away in the Big Ten. Doesn't look
That's
good.
what have you. Excuse me. Yeah, that's what have you done for me lately. No matter how stabilized he's been for the last 4 or 5 years, but when you start getting beat with scores like that, they really start getting those boosters together, and you will find yourself out of a job, man, because they just don't tolerate that kind of embarrassment. So he's better straighten that up in a hurry.
Yeah. I mean, because that job, that's an attractive job. I mean, I would
It
think it's
is.
an attractive job. He's been there for over 19 seasons. That speaks volumes.
Ooh, yes.
He was
Yep.
hired in 2005, and he's returning for the 2025 season because I was kind of keeping an eye on his, because he had a losing season last year, and to have that losing season last year, I'm pretty sure that people were talking about whether he should come back or not, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you just
Now
stay
he's
too
proving a
long.
pattern.
I mean, sometimes you just stay
Well,
too
that's
long.
clearly what that can be.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
mean,
because
that's clearly what that can be
he
because you
might
started
need a breath
losing.
of fresh air, just like the
Right.
program might need a breath of fresh air. Wouldn't you say so?
Yeah, DC, that reminds me of Nick Saban. Nick Saban was there for like 10 years and he felt like, wow, it's time to move on. And so this could be the same situation. The difference is Nick Saban wasn't getting embarrassed like this.
Right.
So for a guy to be there that long and things are changing, the recruits are changing, and for him to be there 19 years, that transfer portal wasn't even in existence. But now people can just jump out anytime they want to, and if you got a coach who can adapt to that, he'll find himself out of a job
For
because
sure.
yes, yep, and that's probably something that he's going through right now. I mean, for him to have a losing season this year, now he's getting started with this new season and he's getting blown out. He's got to reevaluate his coaching staff first, and then, of course, he's got to look at himself.
Yeah, he's coached some really good players. I mean, you look at Des Bryant. He coached Des Bryant. He coached Tyreek Hill. And Justin Blackman. And he was another receiver that ended up with Jacksonville. And he's coached some really good players coming out of that program. But like you say, it's what have you done for me lately? That's what it really all boils down to. For the last few, I'm checking his record for the last few years because last year they got beat in Colorado. That was the senior day game when Travis Hunter and all of the guys were seniors, and they went out with a bang with Oklahoma State at Folsom Field in Colorado. So it looks as though he's 169 and 88. He's 95 and 61 in the Big 12 conference, which is still good. But 69 to 3, it does not look very, very formidable or favorable. You can't let that happen again, I'm pretty sure, because the boosters and people who are behind that program will remember that loss. With
Yeah,
that big number
you
like
never look
that
at
from a
that.
school like Oregon, they'll remember that loss. They'll remember that loss before they remember the rest of the games this year that he's played in. Everybody that lost
Yeah,
that 69 points will always come back, you know. And that's the thing about coaching, man. It's a great career, but it's a career that you have to be on your A game pretty much year in and year out. There's no room for error or slippage or anything. I mean, you look at Saban. Saban didn't have perfect records every year. He lost against teams. He lost against Auburn. He lost that national championship
he
against
wasn't getting
Clemson,
blown out though. He
but
was
he
not
never
getting
got
blown
blew
out like
out
that.
like that. Yeah,
Now, and not only that, DC, he didn't lose consecutive games that many times, and also he didn't have losing seasons.
right.
When you get a guy who have a losing season, and then you drop 2 or 3 games back to back, it's not a good look. Nick Saban has never done that. It's not that I can recollect. I
That's
think
right.
the first year he got in Alabama, he went below 500, and every season after that, he was either tending for a national championship or he just had a great season.
Well, I'm gonna leave this. I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna leave it with this with Mike Gundy and Oklahoma State. They were 3-9 last year in 2024, according to the information that I'm reading. And
Yeah.
this 69-3 drubbing in Oregon wasn't cutting them any slack. Oregon probably could have let up on him. He
Now,
has to turn this program really fast. And I don't think
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to
He
happen
won't make
because of
it
the
through the
type
year,
of
DC.
recruits and the type
Yeah.
of, players that he's bringing in there. I mean, Oklahoma
Yeah.
State is in a very competitive recruiting territory. If you think about it, you look at that whole area is University of Texas, Texas A&M. You look at all of those Texas schools, and then you look at schools in between there, the Arkansas's, University of Arkansas, and those
Yeah.
schools.
Yeah.
He's got a tough time, bringing the type
Yeah.
of players in there that can keep that program on top of the conference, right?
Yeah. Yeah. He won't make it throughout the season if he continue to lose it in this fashion. If he lose with those type of numbers in any other game, they're going to be having. He don't have to pack his bags.
I think so too. Oregon led by 38 points at halftime and had 473 yards of offense on just
Wow.
36 plays.
That was a bloodbath, man.
Yeah, it was definitely a
That was
bloodbath.
a bloodbath.
Absolutely. So it looks like Underwood is under pressure. He just released the ball. It's an incomplete pass. It is 2nd and 10, 7 minutes, 18 seconds left in the second quarter before halftime. And the pocket collapsed on him. I mean, those defenders were in there. And they got a block for him. And Michigan's offensive line is like Goliaths, man. I mean, they shouldn't be able to get in there on him as easily as they have been doing, right?
Michigan got huge guys on that offensive line, but for some reason they cannot stop Oklahoma from pressuring the quarterback.
True. Well, Oklahoma is so aggressive right now on the defense and the defensive line. Michigan is having a hard time running and passing right now.
One thing that we're not factoring in, DC, Oklahoma, that stadium is pretty loud. And the moment the quarterback get under the center, they start yelling, and they probably can't even hear the play call.
True. Well, one thing is for sure with these two teams, I think Brent Venables needs this game more than Sherrone Moore. I think both coaches need this game as to be able to even out what they're going to be doing this season, because these are two different conferences. You look at Oklahoma in the SEC, and then you look at Michigan coming out of the Big Ten. Oklahoma's got to play Texas in about 2 weeks in the Red River Rivalry. Does that make sense to you?
Texas made a bounce back today.
And they're going to meet at the Cotton Bowl, and Texas bounced back big time today. Arch Manning had a record-setting day, which everybody pretty much predicted what he was going to do with that, right?
Yeah. I want to see him play another game. I didn't see the game today. I just seen the ending where they were celebrating. But last week, he wasn't well. I didn't think he was ready for the big league, but he bounced back today. So we'll see what we do next week.
Well, that's going the measurement is going to be what he does next week. So it looks like it's 2nd and 2, still 7-0 Michigan, 6:14 to go. Running back gets stuffed. He doesn't get the first down. They have one more opportunity, or whether they go for it on 4th down. That'll be interesting to see. But Oklahoma is just getting so much penetration from defense into that backfield that they're not being able to do much of anything, to be honest with you.
We'll see how they making adjustments during the halftime, but they're really keying on their running backs. The running backs hadn't got 2 or 3 yards in each possession. They give them the ball. So they opened up the offense before with hitch passes, but that's not even working. So
that's right.
We'll see.
It looked like it was 3rd and 1. It looks like he did cross the line to get the first down, according to where their official is lining up right now. We'll see. They're gonna have to measure it more than likely to see where the ball ended up, landing at.
Well, I think they're giving it to him. I think they're gonna give him the first down.
So I'm looking at Texas's regular season schedule right now. They blew out San Jose State. They're playing UTEP, University of Texas El Paso. They should be able to handle that one with ease. Then they play Sam Houston State. They should be able to handle that one with ease. And then they're at Florida. Billy Napier at Florida could redeem himself by getting that handled if he wants to. So my message to Billy Napier right now, if you want to make amends for today, for South Florida coming in there beating your team today, you need to get this one handled against Texas. Because if you think about it, that will be a dynamic game, and that will be a pivotal game to put Florida back on track. Man, Florida's in a tough conference. I mean, that SEC East and West is tough. Just like the Big Ten, of course. But to lose against South Florida and then come back and try to, get to that college football playoff, because let's break down the college football playoff. It's a 12-team rotation this year. Only 12 teams are going to get in there. So from 1 to 12, from rank 1 to 12, those are the teams that's going to be in the playoff. Anybody that's 13 and down is not going to be in the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
So either you win your conference and you got an inside track to be in that playoff, or, a lot of things have to fall in place for you if you don't win your conference. A lot of things has to happen with other teams, and you have to rely upon other teams to help you get in there, kind of like with the wild card in the NFL, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't like the fact that you have to rely on anyone else. You should control your own destiny, right?
Well, that's the best way to be. When you waiting on somebody else to do a job for you to advance, most of the time it don't pan out for you.
Exactly.
So the best thing to do is control your own destiny, win your conference, and then you will be in.
Exactly.
Otherwise, you're going to be outside looking in.
That's right. And you know what else is true? That Notre Dame loss against Miami, that could impact them. If you look at their schedule, that could impact Notre Dame's ability to be able to be in the playoff this year, because Miami's a top 10 team,
Yeah. Where did they drop to? If they dropped out of the top 10?
Let me check, because normally that goes down and they should have already be ranked right now, because it comes out on Monday after the weekend, right?
Yeah, they showed the ranking already, though. They showed some rankings.
I'm pulling up the AP top 10 right now.
Mm-hmm.
Looks like an injured Michigan player, a lineman, an offensive lineman that's been injured, is being helped off the field.
Yeah, no, 58.
So it looks like Michigan did gain that first and 10. 5 minutes, a little bit over 5 minutes to go. Underwood has the ball. He's made the completion. It looks as though Michigan has they're driving deep into Oklahoma territory right now. So right now it looks like Ohio State is number 1, which we knew they were going to move up to number 1. Penn State is number 2. Because that's going to be interesting to see when those two teams end up playing each other. LSU number 3, Georgia 4, Miami 5, Oregon 6, Texas 7, Clemson 8, Notre Dame dropped to 9, and South Carolina is number 10.
They still in the top 10. Wow.
Yeah, it makes you wonder. I mean,
everybody like Notre Dame. It's a beautiful.
Well, it's a very popular school. It's a historical school when it comes to football. The Newt Rockne, that's a very famous name coming out of Notre Dame, and it's a private school, so it has a whole lot of things going for that program that other programs wouldn't be given the benefit of. I would say
they would have been out of the top 10.
Exactly,
they would have been out of the top 10.
So it's a pitch, a sweep. Michigan running back did a good job turning that ball up, because he could have easily been tackled for a loss. Haynes was able to work his way toward the outside, turn it in just enough. Because you were a running back, you know how to float and make players miss, and that's what it looked like a few minutes ago when he was able to make this play. So it's 3rd and 2. 3rd and 2, 3 minutes 40 seconds to go, and 3rd and 2, still 7-0 Oklahoma, Michigan. We'll see if Michigan can punch this thing in.
Well, they need
it
to
looks like
strive
the players are tangled up and tackled. It's probably going to be an offsetting. It looks to me like the defensive back and the receiver got tangled up, and I would wonder if it's going to be an offsetting penalty where both sides are going to get McCulley and the defender for Oklahoma. Looks like, yeah,
I think they need to call it on Oklahoma. That's what they need to do. I don't know whether they're going to do it.
So why would they call it on Oklahoma? It looks like they both was just so tied up and they had each other by
they're not tied up. They're not tied up. You got the damn DB is grabbing the man's jersey. That's pass interference. They wasn't tied up.
Well,
just look at that.
To me, it looks as though, well, Venables is not happy about it, but I can tell you this.
Man, that's pass interference. He's holding the guy's jersey and dragging him down.
Well, was this coming to this receiver? Was this receiver running a pattern? Because it looked to me like he was going in a blocking stance.
Get out of his damn pattern if you get held. You play cornerback, and that's the reason why you are okay with that holding, because that's what you used to do.
Why are you so cruel? Isaiah is very cruel to me today.
Now listen, now they got to end up kicking a field goal.
So now it's 7-3. Is it, or did he make the kick? He missed. It looked like he missed. Wow. He missed the chip shot.
Oh man, wide left. Bad when you're going into the half without any points. I mean, they could very well go into
and
the half.
And that was a pretty close kick. I mean, you shouldn't miss them type of kicks as far as I'm concerned.
That's their best drive of the night, and they came up empty. You know, that's their best drive of the night, and they came up empty.
Looks like Underwood and one other Michigan player is kind of having a conversation, and it looks like he's getting physical on the sideline. Well, that's what that passion will get you.
That's the running back Haynes looked like.
It did look like Haynes to me a little bit.
Well, they got to get that together, man, because
that was just an off kick right there.
Ooh, what a good hit.
That was a solid hit. I just seen him knock the material completely down, flattened him, pretty much. You better protect yourself a little bit better running that high up. I would try to protect myself a little bit better.
He curved that ball, man.
One thing about those Big Ten teams, man, they tackle really well. At least a lot of those programs in the Big Ten, they teach them. Ohio State is another program. Those defenders, they tackle. They make those tackles. Unlike a lot of other teams and even teams in some conferences you see, they don't tackle as well. And when you got a team that tackle well, they have a very good chance of holding the other team to... Looks like an incomplete pass. It looked like somebody jumped on the line of scrimmage. Right now, it's 2 minute, almost to the 2 minute.
Did they call it? What is a flag? They got.
Yeah. They wonder. I'm wondering whether the lineman.
Michigan jumped outside. Michigan jumped outside.
So it's 2 fouls. Offsides, Michigan.
I can clearly see Michigan jump outside. I don't know what.
So it looks like Michigan took both penalties. Yeah, he did jump.
Oh man!
But the
so they're gonna take the personal foul penalty. See, They getting these guys rattled now, DC. They fighting them amongst themselves, and now they
Mm-hmm.
getting penalties.
Well,
You
Sherrone
know,
Moore has to fix that at
Sherrone,
halftime. He's got a
he's
halftime to
got.
fix that.
Yep, Coach Moore has to get this corrected.
This is a hard fought first half, though, if you look at it, because they're both pretty solid. I mean, in terms of being able to hold each other. So you got Wink Martindale, who's the defensive coordinator for Michigan. He used to be in the NFL. Wink Martindale was on several teams. He coached the Ravens for a while, and I know he was with the Giants as well. He's a good defensive coordinator, and that's why you see Michigan's defense has pretty much they've gotten solid. They're not
That's
bending
what's keeping
much.
them in the game, DC.
Yeah, the
Their
defense
defense is
is
actually
not
keeping them
bending
in the game.
much. Yeah.
Nah, not at all. They had a hiccup in the first series, the first drive, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. So the offense needs to get on their P's and Q's and their A game, because that looks like the difference right now. The offense is just not generating any formidable movement against that tough, stout Oklahoma defense. That's what it looks like to me.
That's a backbreaker too. You go in without any points. It just they tried a field goal and they lost. They missed it, but they needed to go in there with a touchdown. They should have tied the game up going in,
Mm-hmm.
because it just shows you and proves to you that you can kind of have the balance of attack being swayed at one side. But if you go in there with a tie score, it don't seem to be that bad
Right.
because they're clearly getting dominated.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I have a quick one for you while there's a commercial break. Do you think it's worth paying pay-per-view to see Mike Tyson fight Floyd Mayweather Jr.
No,
for
man.
exhibition fight?
That right there is stealing. Them guys, that's a
You said
heist.
stealing?
Yeah, they're stealing, man. You know what? First of all, they're not even the same weight class. They're not even the same era. It's just a circus. That's what it is. And anybody who pay, other than if you already got that subscription, you getting taken for a sucker. It ain't nowhere in the world you got an antique like Mike Tyson, who's almost 60 years old, fighting a 40-something-year-old Floyd Mayweather, who's been retired himself for like 5 or 6 years. So it's going to be nothing but a circus. And whoever subscribe to that and get that fight just only want to be some form of entertainment. And if they spin it just for that entertainment, because they can't be, they're not fighting to win. They just fighting to just take your money because you're crazy enough to give it to them. It's nothing to look forward to. It's not like a championship or a belt, going to be held for it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Mike Tyson never fought in that same weight class, man. Listen, man, the moment Mike Tyson came on the scene, he was already a heavyweight. He was already, even when he was 18 years old, he was a heavyweight.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got Floyd Mayweather is a featherweight.
Yeah,
You know
exactly.
how?
Well,
Even the
it looks
thing
like Jake Paul, just like with Tank, Javante Tank Davis. I mean, it's the same thing. You got this like lightweight against this guy that's technically a cruiserweight or light heavyweight.
that. See, that was more coincide. Even the thing with Roy Jones Jr. When
Mm-hmm.
Tyson fought Roy Jones Jr. Roy Jones Jr. was never a heavyweight. He never was a heavyweight. And then he fight Tyson, but that was a bunch of BS too. All of it is. Every fight Mike Tyson had in the last 20 years was like a circus. When he come out of retirement to fight these guys, and he'll get 10, 15, 20 million dollars just because of his name recognition. But that's what it's all about. It ain't about getting a belt or anything else. It's
Mm-hmm.
about a bunch of nutcases who want to rehash some of those old memories of seeing him. And I'm gonna tell you right now, when he fought Jake Paul, that right there was embarrassing. He came in there with a wrapped knee and it looked like somebody
Looking
great grand.
wounded, already
Yeah,
looking
man.
wounded with a
He came in the
wrap
damn ring.
around his knee and
Yeah,
everything,
man, like
right?
man coming out with an ace bandage on his knee, and you could smell liniment in the ring.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. But it's really fascinating to me that these promoters can actually schedule these fights and they get paid. I mean, it's just phenomenal the way that they can package these fights to get people interested enough into either subscribing for the fight, or they already have a membership on that particular platform. They can watch it, because you're already paying the membership. It's just fascinating to me how they can get people to spend their hard-earned money to see something like this. Because boxing is not as near what it used to be. I wouldn't pay $10 to see a boxing match for any of these people, because they don't
We
have any
used to
legitimate
always,
fighters out there that
right. And
can
that's the reason why,
carry
DC.
any division. I mean, even no division, let alone the
No,
heavyweight or the
no.
light heavyweight or the
It's almost
middleweight or
obsolete.
the
It,
cruiserweight or the featherweight. Looks
boxing
like
is almost
Oklahoma's moving the
obsolete.
ball. Oklahoma might score again with 34
Well,
seconds
they
left.
pushing to at least get 3 points out of it.
It's
They
first and
want
goal.
to add on to the lead.
My calculations that Oklahoma is going to punch this one in on them. I think that's what's going to happen. They're already lining up.
There it is.
It's
There
it's
it
the
is. They're
it's
on
the
the
short end of
4 yard
the
line.
field right now. Mateer is getting ready to, and they running it up the middle. The running back is stuffed, but they have their timeouts, so Venables can call that timeout.
Man, Sherrone Moore is really going to have to make some adjustments during
He needs
halftime
to make some serious
because
adjustments, and if he
they're going
doesn't,
to,
and if their offense come out is dull as they were in the first quarter, and I'm not saying dull in the sense that they weren't able to move the ball. They were able to move the ball. They just didn't have a dynamic scheme on how they were going to have an answer for Oklahoma's aggression on defense. That's what I'm looking at right now.
well, what I'm looking at is the mere fact that you got your defense is on that field too long, and the way Oklahoma is moving the ball, these guys going to get tired. And
Absolutely. Absolutely.
fatigue made cowards of them all. Once you get tired, that's going to be it. You got the only way you can rekindle that energy is wait till the next week because you're not going to get energized after that. So I'm just looking at how they just went up and down the field and they can't stop them. So what I think Shamar Moore has to do is get those guys settled down and get some sustained drives where they can start scoring points. Because otherwise,
Absolutely.
if you let Oklahoma go up 14-0, it's going to be a hard fight to get back ahead.
No doubt about it. I told you, Mateer just scored. I just had that gut feeling that they were just too close down there for Michigan to defend the run against them.
Yeah.
And all
Yeah.
night, Michigan has been playing well on defense, keeping them, at a point where they weren't scoring or
He just
gaining
walked in.
huge.
He
But
just really walked in, DC.
he
He
walked
walked in
in.
there.
Yeah.
They let Mateer just walk in there.
And see, Mateer is a elusive quarterback. I mean, from what I picked up tonight, this is my first time watching him play. And he's a very dynamic, elusive quarterback. I think he's going to be very effective, and he's going to have to be effective against Texas because Texas's defense. You looking at Michigan's defense tonight? It's like night and day. When Texas's defense show up for them, it's not going to be pretty unless they can execute against Texas because that's how good Texas's defense is. You know.
Left him 22
Yeah, he
seconds
went
left.
right through that hole. I mean, if you look right
He
here, that
walked,
hole, that was a huge
he
gap.
walked in. I
He walked
mean,
right in.
unbelievable. And that's what happened when you got a defense that's been on the field all night.
Yeah, Oklahoma has the momentum for sure. It's
Oh man, we got some huge holes there, DC. If you just
yeah.
look, they got some huge holes. He could have ran anywhere he wanted to get in the end zone.
If Sherrone Moore doesn't make
If he
these
didn't get hurt,
advanced, adjustments by third quarter, I mean, they're gonna get embarrassed tonight. They're gonna get sent back home to Michigan embarrassed. And looking at Michigan's schedule, let me look at their schedule because so right now it's kickoff, 22 seconds left, 14-0. Oklahoma, Michigan, both teams 1-0. Michigan is more than likely going to just kneel on the ball to get this quarter out of the way if they're smart. But who knows? They may go deep. I mean, a lot of
I won't
times,
go for a Hail Mary.
yeah,
I won't
that's what he
just
should do.
throw it away.
It looks like J.J. McCarthy, who used to play for Michigan, and the Vikings and the Bears Monday night. Now that ought to be a good one. We'll meet
They're gonna do, look like
you
they're gonna
myself
do
and
something.
Najee will be on top of that one, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Look at this thing.
So right now they have 22 seconds to try to do something.
Well, they got all of the timeouts too. So
Yeah, they're just running. I think they're gonna chew down this clock. I don't think they're not trying to stop the clock. Yeah, it looks like Sherrone Moore is he looks pretty disgusted there for a second. Or disappointed. I'll use a different word
I
called
don't understand.
disappointment.
I don't understand when you're down 14 points, you just run the clock out. I just would have went for the end zone a couple of times.
Right.
I just don't understand that. Never understood it. You down 14 points. Your team is fighting amongst themselves on the sideline, and you get your running back in there and run a one play instead of just throwing a Hail Mary. Who knows? You could have came up lucky and got a touchdown out of it.
Exactly.
Unbelievable.
So I got another topic, Annie Brown topic here that I wanted to bring to your attention right before we take a intermission here along with the halftime. It looks as though there has been a lot of discussion with Ray Lewis commenting about Shannon Sharpe's lifestyle change of late. What's your angle and what's your take on Ray Lewis's comments on that Shannon Sharpe never used to drink and he didn't do this and he didn't do that, and obviously things have changed in his life? Do you think it was appropriate for Ray Lewis to comment on this particular situation when him and Shannon Sharpe was pretty close when they played? I don't know where they are now.
Yeah, I don't know Ray Lewis's angle for that. Whenever you have a friendship like it appeared to be, because I've seen so many pictures of them, enjoying themselves together, playing, when they played and they just seemed like they had a great friendship as well. And of course, there's just so many allegations about how he had Ray Lewis's back when he got in legal trouble years ago. But now for him to speak out in a harsh manner against Shay Shay and how his content is on his podcast, I kind of think Ray Lewis was out of line with saying that, because if that was his dear friend, like he said it used to be, I think he should have made that phone call if he was dissatisfied with the content of his show. And then again, that really is not none of his damn business anyway. So how a guy conduct his show, and if you don't want to rock with him no more, just say to yourself, I can't, buy into what he's doing now. But to get in there and trash the man and hop on when he's already going through all kind of other crises with these girls and paying out money and stuff like that, and then for a guy who's supposed to be your friend to get in there and chastise you and marginalize your show, I just thought it was inappropriate, man. I thought
So
Ray Lewis should have handled that a little better than that.
So, according to Ray Lewis's quote, he criticized, I'm shocked at his content. You're going to
Yep.
take that route. I can't go that route. So, I mean, why would you, even if you, I agree with you, even if you have an issue with his content, that's his show. That's his
Yeah.
show. That's not your show. I mean,
Yeah.
we are all adults here. And whoever chooses to take a certain path down whatever road that they want to take the path down, it might not be right in your perception, or you perceive it as not being right. but that person is making a decision based on what they think is best for them. That's how I'm looking at it. I think Ray
Yeah.
Lewis should not have commented on this. He should have kept his mouth shut because he could have talked about a million other things. Look, Ray Lewis was legendary when it came to playing football. Even from the point when he was at Kathleen High School in Lakeland, all the way up to when he got to the University of Miami, and then when he arrived at the Baltimore Ravens, his legacy will live on forever. But when you comment on other people's lifestyles and other people doing what they want to do in their life, I don't think that's appropriate for him to be chiming in on Shannon. Look, Ray's to me is a combination of a motivational speaker, preacher. To me, that's the way I look at it. If you want to preach to your congregation. Don't preach about Shannon Sharpe. Let Shannon Sharpe do Shannon Sharpe's thing. That's the way I'm looking at it.
DC, the part that's most disheartening to me for him saying that is because you got to realize that he had a squeaky past himself.
True.
Not just with him,
Absolutely.
his kids and everything. So his kid got in trouble multiple times, and one of his kids got killed or something like that. Also, so I mean, I understand that he is a holy guy right now, but yeah, go talk to the guy personally, and because look what he created. He created a monster now because people are calling him a Uncle Tom, a sellout, and all this type of stuff. And then, of course, yesterday I seen some jailbird pictures when he got arrested on those murder charges. So people have like clearly forgot about his ordeal with the murders. Until people miss something because people start digging in his past for him saying that. Because I look at it also like this: when you have a show, or if you're an artist, most artists they have a lane to follow, and of course Shay has a lane. That's his lane, man.
Absolutely.
If you're a pop singer, I even bring up the thing with Pitbull. When Pitbull first came out as a rapper, Pitbull was rocked up. He had gold teeth, and somebody said, "Hey, listen, man, the way you can get paid." Because you're gonna only be a rapper, one of the little ghetto rappers, gonna be a fly by night career. And they cleaned him up. They snatched those golds out of his mouth, put a suit on him, made him cut his hair and all this type of stuff, showed him how to dance. And look at how long his career has sustained itself because they changed and gave him another lane. So that's Shay's lane, man. And I just hope they kind of iron that thing out. I mean, because Ray Lewis shouldn't have even mentioned that on a podcast like that because it's ugly because Shay was hit so hard and it devastated him. He didn't even have a comeback for it. He just felt like, oh, man, look how God do me when I'm down. And
Kick
that's
me
how
when
he
I'm
felt.
down. Yeah.
It's almost like a sense of jealousy. That's what it looks like. Because he didn't work it out as a man. He was like almost a little girl where you gossiping on a show. And nobody ever seen no dissatisfaction in this man's show and the content of it. He was green. He's come out of Georgia. He was broke and his family was in gutter. And then he parlayed his career as a football player to become a spokesman and then an analyst and making millions of dollars and got top shows, man. And for anybody to start talking about the content of his show, I think they need to leave the dude alone, man. I mean,
I do too.
I didn't like it when he got jammed up with that little young girl, but then that's his own life. But that has nothing to do with his show. And the fact that he's starting to drink and he never used to drink. There's a bunch of people starting to drink when they enjoy it and their career is over. They didn't drink because they thought it wasn't healthy for them when they were playing football. But now he's an older guy. He's enjoying his life. And so what if he drink? He's making money off it too because he created his own drink.
He's got his own liquor line, at least his own cognac. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you make a valid point there. And when it comes to anybody's personal decisions on how they make decisions in their life, look, if you don't have anything good that you could say or uplift someone with, just don't say anything at all. That's the way I look at it. If I'm asked a question, let's say we were in the same situation and somebody asked me a question about you because your show went on and you had your own show and you're doing extremely well success wise. You've had your ups and downs just like a roller coaster and everything. You think for 1 minute that I'm going to come out there and put you on blast and put you out on Front Street like that? I mean, because of your decision to carry a certain type of content, it doesn't matter. I mean, his decision to carry content of people that he interviewed on his show, that's his
Yeah.
business. That is nobody else's business as far as I see it. That's the way I'm looking at it, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, we will take an intermission and we will be back and we'll talk to you as a viewer back on shortly.